Color guard, halt. Haste. Present. Arms.
So if you'll join with me, with the Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We didn't need a volunteer. We actually had the Norco College Chamber Choir present the national anthem, so that was pretty awesome. So let's hear it again for them. And they and those young men that are still in high school with the Santiago High School Air Force Junior ROTC. So, yes. I'm going to call up Michael H. Manny, Major with the U.S. Air Force, retired. He is the instructor for the Santiago High School Air Force Junior ROTC, and he's going to lead us in a POW MIA tribute. If you notice in the very center of the room, an empty table. So let's hear it for Major.
As you entered the room, you may have noticed a special table. It is reserved to honor our missing men. Set for four, the empty chairs represent Americans who were or are missing from each of the services: Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, all with us in spirit. Some here were very young or not yet born when the Vietnam War began. However, all Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call and served the cause of freedom in a special way. Let me explain the meaning of this table, and then join me for a moment of silent prayer. The table is round to show our everlasting concern. The cloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to serve. The single red rose reminds us of the lives of these Americans and their loved ones and the friends who kept the faith while seeking answers. The yellow ribbon symbolizes our continuing uncertainty, the hope for their return, and our determination to account for them. A slice of lemon reminds us of their bitter fate, captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families who long for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, alive or dead. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted, symbolizing their inability to share a toast. The chairs are empty. They are missing. Let's now raise our water glasses in a toast to honor America's POW MIAs, to the success of our efforts to account for them, and to the safety of all now serving our nation. Thank you.
So this year the theme at the Corona Chamber of Commerce was at your service. And so each veteran or active military is going to receive one of our challenge coins. So nobody here has to buy the orange juice or anything. But it's our way of just saying thank you. And on each one of you will get one of the coins. On one side is our chamber logo. On the other side is our at your service logo. So you can see it in many of our material. Because it's all about, in this world, in my opinion, it's all about serving and giving back to others. And so each and every one of you has served in the past, is currently serving, has given that sacrifice and has served other people and put the others above yourself. And so we want to honor that. We honor that today. We've honored that all year at the Corona Chamber, and we want to thank you for that. So each and every one of you is going to get one of those today. Thank you. So we have a few people to thank. We've got Jim Dorsey and Grant Romancia. They're photographers that are taking pictures today. Thank you. Jim's been taking pictures all year, and he's still trying to figure out which is my good side. It's tough. So we also want to thank Eagle Glen. So we've got in front of you, there's some information, just as some basic information. This weekend there's going to be a few closures on the freeway. So the express lanes and 91 express lanes are going to have some closures. We want to warn you about that, so make sure you're aware. And so there's some information on the table regarding that. So look at that and make sure you don't get caught in the middle of that. We also have our installation coming up, and I want to announce the winners that we're going to honor in January. So if you are in the room and you're being honored, I would like you to stand up and be recognized. One of those for Lifetime Achievement Award is our own Jim Dorsey over there. So let's hear for Jim. Also for Lifetime Achievement, we have John Tavaloni and Mike and Mary Vasquez. They're being honored for their Lifetime Achievements. Businesses of the Year, we have a Family Business of the Year, Century 21 Garland Realty. Our Retail Business of the Year, NCH Galleries. Service Business of the Year, Hamner Towing. Manufacturer of the Year, Westrock. In the health and wellness industry, Citrus Valley Medical Associates. And a special recognition to NAVC for their import in the community. Thank you very much. And the nonprofit of the year is the American Cancer Society. So those are our businesses. Individuals, Citizen of the Year. I think I saw Don Kindred. Is he here? There he is. Let's recognize him. Citizen of the Year. Rising Star, Chris Hernandez. Ambassador of the Year is Juan Santos. He's a veteran. Where's Juan? There you go, over there. The Chairman's Award, it goes to Kristen Holstrom. And finally, Making the Difference, David Brambilla right up front here with Creative Marketing. Let's hear it for David. So I'd like to introduce, we have two major sponsors for today, and I'd like to introduce our first sponsor, and that is Altura Credit Union. So Altura Credit Union is headquartered in Riverside, and the Inland Empire is not just a profit section for them or center, it's their home. Their board members are local leaders who volunteer their time and are deeply committed to the community. So they continuously reinvest in our community. And they stood up big time for this and wanted to make sure they were involved in today to honor our veterans. So I want to thank them for that. So they work to ensure a warm and positive experience every time a member goes in. 61 years of service in the community. Please welcome Jennifer Binkley, the CEO of Altura Credit Union. Let's bring her up. It was a year ago they said, hey, we want to be back next year and make sure we support it. So we want to thank you for that. So she's going to take the next 3 hours or so and just talk to y'all.
I'll be really brief. We loved this event last year, sponsoring it, and I'm so happy that we could be here again. For those of you that aren't aware, Altura Credit Union is the credit union for March Air Reserve Base. And on a professional level, 4 of our board members are veterans. About 5% of our workforce is made up of veterans, reservists. One of them is here today, Dalton Potts. He's a reservist with the Army. Can wave, Dalton. So, on a personal side, we're a Navy and Air Force family. On my mother's side, the Navy. On my father's side, the Air Force. Both my grandfathers are buried at Van Buren. Recently, this summer, my daughter married an active duty. He's a CB in the Navy. I'm probably going to mess up what he's called, and they're stationed at Port Hueneme. So I get to personally see the sacrifices that they both make so we can enjoy our freedom and we can enjoy everything we do in our daily lives, and I can't express our gratitude and how happy I'm to be here. So thank you all.
We have other sponsors, which one of them is also the Press Enterprise, so they also stepped up to make sure this event took place. So let's hear it for the Press Enterprise. Our other major sponsor is the Corona Chamber Foundation. So the Corona Chamber Foundation, since it was revitalized, the foundation has raised tens of thousands of dollars for families and individuals in need in our community, with an economic impact of over $100,000. They've also hosted 2 countries for the Special Olympics. They aided construction of an exercise pool for an Army veteran who lost his legs. They finalized funding for a needed wheelchair for an accessible van. They host the annual Memorial Mile March in Corona, also our Corona Night with the Angels, and many more events. And so we're going to introduce the president of the Corona Chamber Foundation, Don Williamson. Don?
Thank you, John. It is truly a pleasure to stand in front of so many veterans and active duty personnel, and on behalf of the Corona Chamber Foundation, thank you all for your service. The Corona Chamber Foundation was something that we revitalized a few years ago. It's a nonprofit organization, a 501c3. We are operated independently from the Corona Chamber of Commerce. However, we are joined at the heart. We work together on projects with the membership. Half of our board is board members of the Chamber of Commerce, so we work very closely together. And the reason it was revitalized, and this was something that Bobby Spiegel, of course, spearheaded, the man with the biggest heart in Corona, was a way that we could help more people. John mentioned some of the things that we've helped in the past. We have a real bend for the military, for our veterans, to do what we can. We were one of the hosts of this event last year, and this is hopefully something we're going to continue for a long time. You know, we understand what a minor little thing giving breakfast or lunch is, but it's just a little token of how grateful we are to our veterans and our active duty personnel. John mentioned some of the things that we do. The big one this year, of course, was the horrible tragedy that was ongoing for 13 children over in Paris. The Turpin children, they came to Corona. We were called that they had no support. They had no necessities of life, basically. And they called us, and we turned it over to the community. We raised over $200,000 for these kids. it was an incredible outpouring of worldwide love for this tragic situation, and Corona answered the bell on this. Again, as a foundation, this is the kind of things that we do, that we want to be involved with. This was hopefully we never have to encounter something like this again. But it's nice to know that when it comes up, we're going to answer that call. We do a Corona night every year. I'm sorry, Corona night at the Big A every year. We may be doing one at Dodger Stadium this year. It's too soon to tell. But that's our major fundraiser. So when we come around, it's one game a year. It's a lot of fun. We go to a ball game. Last year it was the premium game of the year. It was a Yankee game on a Saturday night. It was a lot of fun. So that's our big fundraiser. We sponsor the Memorial Mile March every Memorial Day. This will be our 5th one coming up. We meet at the Corona Chamber of Commerce. We take an American flag and we attach an American hero that gave his or her life for our country. We walk halfway around Grand Boulevard, which is about a mile and a half. The circle is, everyone knows it. And we spell USA with those flags in the front lawn of the Historic Civic Center. It's really a great day, so please put that on your calendar for next year. Then this year we had the opportunity to have a very emotional event. It's the pictures of the men and women from California who's given their lives in the War on Terror and the Afghanistan wars in Iran and Iraq. Truly the highlight was we had one of the Gold Star mothers come. She came and said she was looking for her son, and gratefully one of our friends was there, and he was the perfect guy to be there with her as she stood in front of the memorial for her son. This is something that we don't bring back every year, but this is the 2nd time in Corona. We'll look forward to doing it again in the near future. This is just want to give you an idea of the kind of things that we do. So you're aware of the Corona Chamber Foundation. And one other thing we do that we didn't mention was every Saturday morning for the last 3.5 years, we do Cars and Coffee. We go there and we supply the coffee, and for donations we turn over to the foundation. So 7 to 9 at Saline Motors, right off the 91 freeway. Come on down. It's free. It's every Saturday morning. Again, thank you so much to all the veterans and the active duty personnel here, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. So 3.5 years, have you missed any of those Saturday mornings in 3.5 years? Not a single day he's missed in 3.5 years. He's been there every Saturday morning for 3.5 years. And all that money gets donated to the foundation. I'd also like to thank the Norco College Chamber Choir and the Santiago Air Force Junior ROTC program, also the American Legion Joe Dominguez Post 742 for their efforts in making today great. Crave Coffee and Tea, and our Veterans Honoring Veterans. We also had some schools involved. El Cerrito Middle School was involved, Washington Elementary, 1st and 3rd grade students. I believe they wrote some thank you letters. Creative Marketing with David Brambilla, the Corona Fire Department, and later on I'll share with you a little bit about our ambassadors. As always, TJ Jackson, our audio guy over there. Let's hear it for him. So it is my pleasure now to introduce the president and CEO of the Corona Chamber of Commerce, Bobby Spiegel. One of the reasons, yes, let's hear for Bobby. One of the reasons we do this event is I don't know anybody that loves America, loves the community, and loves our veterans and military more than Bobby Spiegel. And one of the reasons we do this event is because it's his heart. And so I want to just thank you, and I know that you're looking forward to what you do to this morning. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Testing. It's on? Okay. I'm going to take that one. You can take that one. Testing. Okay, thank you. Let's give it up for John Wygant, great chairman of the board. Thank you so very much. This event is just one of the small things that we should be doing probably 365 days a year, 24/7. Again, give it up for all of the veterans, all the active duty, and all the families that sacrifice so much. Each year, our chamber goes back to Washington, D.C. to really discuss and do business issues with Congress and with the decision makers. This last year when we went, we were able to give a gift to my outgoing chairman of the board, Don Garling, the opportunity to lay a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier. The night before we did that, he said to me, "I want you to help me place the wreath." And I said, "No, this is an honor for you." And he said, "No, please. I'm forever grateful." I don't know if you've ever witnessed as they do the wreaths. It's a totally different type of a program when you're holding the wreath. When you're about to be called up, and you can see on the far right side, Don and myself, and we're ready to be walked down, and then we're given the wreath to present and put there. It's pretty moving, and words cannot describe. Now, the day that we did this, it was one of the rainiest days in Washington, D.C., and our suits were soaking wet. It never occurred to us we had such the honor to be able to be there. And then we realized our men and women in the battlefields, they don't get to pick their weather. They don't get to choose anything. We were just so grateful. This last week was Veterans Day. And we celebrated, and we wanted to acknowledge. And today we're doing a little bit of acknowledgement as well. But throughout our history, soldiers, men and women, have been called upon to protect our families, our communities, and our country. They fight for others' safety and freedom, knowing that this path of service may include their life and the suffering of their loved ones. The path that the soldier has taken requires the qualities of courage, commitment, and resilience. The courage to face the horror of brutality of war, the commitment to leave their loved ones behind and to make sure that they will remain safe, and the resilience to keep their humanity in the face of inhumanity. The soldier, above all other people, prays for peace, for they are and must suffer and bear the deepest wounds and scars of war. They know that freedom has never been free. Today, as we did just a couple of days ago on Veterans Day, we pay our respects. Many of our veterans are physically or mentally wounded. All of our veterans are someone who at some point in their life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for any amount up to and including their own life. It is through their actions that we enjoy the blessings of liberty. It is through the tears of their families that we have the freedom we often take for granted. Today, this last week on Veterans Day, and every day in the future, we should extend our sincere thanks and gratitude to our veterans and to the men and women of the armed forces and their families. May God continue to bless you and to keep you. And let us all say, Amen. Being a child of parents that came over through the Holocaust, legally immigrating and understanding the freedoms that we have here. My mom, God rest her soul, taught us that patriotism and flag waving were not dirty words, that it's something that we need to do and that we need to live. So we've tried and adapted our lives to do that in every possible way. Today we are honored with so many of you, our VIPs, the men and women that have served our country, that have protected our freedoms, that have protected our flag. Today, I would like to bring up our captain from the Naval Base, Captain Braunbeck, to share a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, our captain, and you're pretty good on that, but as I introduce him and he comes on stage, there should not be anyone sitting unless you cannot stand, and definitely no one kneeling. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain of the Naval Base Corona Division, Captain Braunbeck.
Okay. Hey, good morning, everybody. Please go ahead and have a seat. And this wonderful, wonderful day, beautiful day outside. Definitely thinking of those that are still dealing with the aftermaths and the ongoing fires out there. Bobby asked me this morning to say a few words, and as I was sitting at my table thinking about it, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for having a community where I walk through the front door and little kids greet me. Thank you for having a community where wonderful young Air Force ROTC personnel are here doing a wonderful job presenting the colors. Thank you for having a community where great young people are up here saying singing the national anthem. Thank you for having a community that respects those that have gone before, those that have been there, and then those that have paid the ultimate price. Being here, I've been here about 13 months now, have a wonderful job, Naval Surface Warfare Center Corona down in Norco, and every day I go into a gas station or a restaurant or wherever, 99% of the time I'm greeted by someone thanking me if I'm in my uniform. That doesn't happen everywhere, and that's about the whole community here, people like Bobby Spiegel and all of you that put this on. Thank you, and we couldn't do it without you. We do very important things on the base. Though that mission is extremely important, and some of you know a little bit about it. A lot of us are wearing uniforms, or actually few of us. We have only about 16 uniform personnel. We've got well over 1,000 DoD civilians trying to make sure those that are on the front line are safe and have the ability to carry the nation's will forward. So thank you for that, and thank you for this opportunity, Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, thank you, Captain. I'd like to have a couple of people join me on stage up here as we, what we'd like to do is we're going to recognize our different branches. TJ, can you remove this here? John Wygant, could you please come forward? The ambassadors that are supposed to be up here, please come forward. I'd like to also bring up a couple of people from Veterans Honoring Veterans. Ronnie Gardner. Where's Ronnie? Ronnie, I just want the people to see a face of a person that has an idea and truly goes well beyond the call of duty to get something done. Each of the veterans today will be receiving a star. Now this one's a little large one, but every flag that is torn or tethered, we collect those flags and they cut these out. When I went back to Washington, D.C., I gave a bunch of these to the people at the Pentagon, and they said, you know, it's cut out in the shape of the Pentagon. And I said, well, Ronnie probably figured that out and did that. But on the back of these, he's got a little note in here. Ronnie. And it says, I am part of our American flag that has flown over a home in California. I can no longer fly. The sun and winds have caused me to become tattered and torn. Please carry me as a reminder that you are not forgotten. It's a beautiful thing that this young man here, that he had a vision and he's done this. We're going to be changing things up, though, because I got a message back from the Pentagon. They're going to be sending us flags as well, so we're going to have to change from California throughout the United States. Okay, so give a round of applause to Ronnie, if you would. Sure, we'll hold on to these here. The students from El Cerrito Middle School will be handing out those stars. You've got the coins here, John. I'd also like to recognize a Norco Council member and a real patriot. Please welcome Kevin Bash. Kevin, would you come forward with your pins? And will you explain what you're going to be giving out?
North Corona, since I'm here, Norco, we were the first city in the state of California and the second in the nation to become part of the 50th commemoration for Vietnam veterans. We're very proud of that. We unveiled the flag, the very first flag in California, at our Navy base. And we have pins for all of the Vietnam veterans that are especially from the President of the United States. And if you're a Vietnam veteran, I would be happy to give you one. And if I might, December 7th, graciously because of the invitation, and we will actually partner with the Navy base. December 7th, Pearl Harbor ceremony. Our special guest speaker is Melissa Melendez, the Assemblywoman. Hope to see you all there. Oh, 10 a.m. sharp. Dick Haley will be our MC. We have Johnny's going to be doing some stuff for us, and hopefully the captain will say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. You'll stay up here. I'd like to bring up the other council members that are here to help thank and welcome, and I'd like to have our board members from the chamber come up as well. Yolanda Carrillo, brand new to the city council, was with the Corona Chamber Board, but we elevated that real quick. Thank you, Yolanda. Our mayor for the city of Corona, and I'm going to just say soon to be our Riverside County Supervisor-elect, Karen Spiegel. I didn't see any other council members here, but I do want to bring up our city treasurer, Chad Willardson, and I do want to bring up... Thank you, and Eugene Montanez, our vice mayor. But I do want to also just welcome him to the stage because we love him so much. Please welcome Dick Haley, former city council, former mayor for the city of Corona. We're going to leave the podium here, okay? Okay. So what we'd like to do, we need 2 chairs out of there and then the branch thing brought here, okay? No, this is going to stay, okay? So what we'd like to do is we want the different branches to come up, and as we call them up. So first will be the Army. If we could have all the people from the Army come up, you can either sit in the front 2 rows or you can stand right behind these chairs. So all the people from the Army, let's give them a round of applause. After this. One, two, three. Get up here. Dick Haley. Dick Haley. I want you here, and Chad. John, I want you handing us out. Okay. I want you in the center part, behind Yolanda and Eugene. Okay, you're tall enough to be right here, if you would. Yep. Then, John, I want you in the photo. Okay, Dick, you come on one side. Yes, sir. Where you want me at? In the center. Okay. Thank you, brother. While they're handing those out, I think it's really important that we get to know who some of these folks are. Could you go ahead and tell us your name and when you served?
Gordon Castle, 69 to 72.
James Brin, 68 to 70. Thomas Price, Vietnam, 67, 68.
Tet Offensive.
Joe Melanson, 6971.
Brent Bailey, Military Police Corps, 1986, 1995.
Angelo Corso, 82 through 93, and have the honor of being with the California State Military Reserve now for 5 years.
Steve Rogers, Iraq in 96.
Doug Hogue, Army, 64, 65, 66. Vietnam, 65, 66.
Tom Sherman, United States Army, 9th Infantry Division, 1966, 1968.
Flor Fuentes, Iraq 2009.
Walt Tracy, I was part of Arlington National Cemetery for a bit, and Vietnam in 66.
Andres Soto, Americal Division, Vietnam, 1970 to 72.
Arnie Nelson, 9th Infantry, Vietnam, 68, 69.
Alan Wick, Iraq, 0809, Army, was at 1995 till December 31st this year is my retirement date.
Richard Cortez, 71 to 74, 3rd Armored Cav.
Don German, U.S. Army, 1966 through 69.
John Lindborn, Vietnam, 1967, 68, and 69.
Eric Bolus, 1974, service-connected disability early.
Bob Gore, 69 and 70, 173rd Airborne Brigade.
Larry Hernandez, U.S. Army Special Forces, 72 to 93. Also commander of the Joe Dominguez Post 742 here in Corona.
Jim Clark, 56th Field Artillery Brigade, Pershing Missiles, Neu-Ulm, Germany, 1971 to 1974.
Phil Fryer, Vietnam, 67, 68, B Troop, 1st and 9th Cavalry.
Tom Mitchell, Army Special Forces, 67 to 77, Vietnam, 1968, 69 and 70, 5th Special Forces Group.
Juan Santos, U.S. Army, 2003 to 2008, and I served in Iraq in 2005.
Dave Adderbrake. I was with the 25th Infantry Division, Cu Chi, Vietnam, 69 to 71, and I couldn't be more proud.
Shanisha Willis, 2003, 2011, OIF 2005.
Randall Harville, 86 to 90, 1st, 156th.
Dan Engel, 1st to 28th, Big Red 1.
Johnny Griffiths, United States Army, Vietnam, 68, 69, 7 of the 17th Air Cavalry.
Dick Haley, Marine Corps, helicopters, 67, 68. I know, but Eugene said to do it, and whatever Eugene said.
Jim Gore, Combat Medic, 173rd Airborne Brigade, 70, 71 for my brother.
Waldo Posner, United States Army, 7th Army, 178th Ordnance Division, 1959 to 64.
Monty Mantka, U.S. Army, Korea, 45 and 46.
Is that it?
Ronnie Garner, Germany, 1969 and 70, Army.
Does anyone want to take? Okay. The two right here, if you don't mind taking these chairs right here. And as we're getting that photo, ladies and gentlemen, our Army representatives, if you would please stand and show them your love now. Next group is what I call the quiet group, the Marine Corps. Marine Corps, could you please come forward? Ed Clark, okay. I don't want to miss you, buddy. Best butcher in town. Do you see Ed? Ed, I want you to go ahead and grab a seat right up front here. Anita, I know you Marines are used to standing through everything, but grab a couple of chairs and let's go ahead and get comfortable. We'll start right on over here if you'll do your introduction, Charlie.
Charles Merriam, Mag 15, 1956 to 1962.
Wayne Rayback, USMC, 1968 to 1970.
George Ramirez, U.S. Marine Corps from 1980 to 83, 29 Palms Communications.
Ben Rubalcava, Marine. I deployed to Iraq. It was back in 2002-ish time frame. I was with 2nd Marine Division.
David Brambilla, served from 93 to 2001. I'm also the finance officer for the American Legion Post 742.
And the Making a Difference Award this year.
Travis Humble, 04 to 09, OIF 06, 07.
Dick Haley. Dick Haley, good friend of Eugene Martinez. Marine Corps, Vietnam, helicopters. Good friends of Supervisor Spiegel.
Richard Rogers. I was in the Marine Corps for 20 years, 1960 to 1980. And if there's anybody here that recognizes the name Sante, we could just chat for just a couple seconds over here somewhere. And then thank you everybody here at Eagle Glen. Thank you.
Joe Game, United States Marine Corps, 1963-1966.
Otto Hartman, 1956 to 1979, United States Marine Corps Aviation, Vietnam. 3 times. The first one didn't count. 1963, next one was 66 and 1970. Courtesy United States Navy.
You guys may not know, but we have a chosen reservoir that from Korea. Okay.
He's going to introduce himself.
Yeah, but anyway.
Can you handle this?
Ed Clark, United States Marines, the chosen reservoir, where the temperature was 23 below zero, and we left 7,000 men, Army, Navy, up there dead. And our president is bringing them home. 1948 to 1952.
Frank Gorecki, 3rd Marines, Vietnam, 67, 68 through 72. Oh, and this is Major Bean. He's got 14 years in.
Nice to meet you, Major Beam. Albert Navarro, joined the Marine Corps in 98, retired 2014, 16 years of service. Served in Iraq 2003, 2005, 2006, 2007, and then in Afghanistan 2013. Retired out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, 2nd Marine Division, 2nd Amphibious Assault Battalion.
Thank you. Let's hear it for the Marines. Anthony, if you'll continue to hand those out. Next, we'd like to make sure the Navy, let's recognize those that are in the Navy. So we're going to go ahead and start with the introductions right here.
Amanda McKittrick, USS McKee and USS Simon Lake, 1994 to 99.
Chief Herring, U.S. Navy, 1995 to soon to be 2019. That's why I retired 24 years, expeditionary warfare.
Mo Torres, I've served aboard the USS America, and I've been in since 2013.
Matt Preston, EOD, 1997 to present.
Earl Cox, Navy, 1946 to 1953, as part of Harbor Defense in Pearl Harbor.
John Dalzell, Navy, Vietnam, 68, 69, and 70.
Chris Copeland, 2006 to current.
Frank Biza, 2011 to current.
Oh, J.D. Andrews from 1943 to 1946. I was in the dryland Navy, never served aboard ship. I served in Long Beach, California, and Hilo, Hawaii. And I have a word for the Marines. There were 10 Marines and 1 Navy wave that fell off the cliff together. The only thing you had to save them was a rope that was hanging on, so they all grabbed the rope. And they noticed that it was unraveling from the weight. And so the wave said she would drop off then. And the Marines were so thankful for her bravery and gratitude that they began to clap.
Lane Spear, U.S. Navy, 68 to 71, Long Beach, California. I was in minesweepers, MSRs, the little small ones in the. We wore olive drab green, and our boats were green.
Dick Lockman, U.S. Navy, 1945, 1946. I did attend the Bikini Atoll atom bomb tests, and I was in Nagasaki after their bomb was there, so I had quite a bit of radioactivity, and I paid for it about 20 years later.
Ralston Willis, U.S. Navy, 1998 to 2004, attached to the Marine Corps for that whole time, 3rd Battalion, 11th Marines, and Light Armor Reconnaissance in 29 Palms, California.
Tom Mazza, 1971 to 74, Navy.
Don Kindred, Gunner's Mate, USS Haleakala, Vietnam, 1969-70.
Don, did we get everyone? Sorry, sir.
No problem. Rick Braunbeck, 86 to present, U.S. Navy.
Chris Marburger, U.S. Navy, submarine service, 75 to 79.
Cedar, you want to stand? Good. So, ambassadors, if we get these chairs removed. Just this one here and 3 over there, unless they're going to have, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd give your acknowledgement to the Navy, you could stand and show them your love. Thank you to the Navy. Next, we'd like to have the Air Force, all Air Force.
Mike Manny, 1990 to 2013. U.S. Air Force retired, now the instructor at Santiago High School's Air Force Junior RTC.
Chuck Rogers, U.S. Air Force, 1964 through 72.
Art Salgado, 4868. Thank you.
Don Bober, Air Force, 1966 to 1970, Vietnam, 68, 69.
Ken Blankenbaker, 1968, 1972.
Steve Case, 1989 to 1996.
Joe Keller, 1991 to 2018. Air crew, aeromedical evacuation, multiple deployments, and multiple operations.
Richard Keller, 1980 to 2015.
Dave Bedard, U.S. Air Force, 63 to 67 in the last few months. We had 4 funerals a week and parade on the weekends. I was with the Air Force drill team, and these guys came home whole, not the way they're coming back now, but I enjoyed the 4 years and got out and started a family. Thank you.
Dean Dunbar, 22 Air Refueling Well, March Air Force Base, Operations Everest Storm, Desert Shield.
John Machowski, U.S. Air Force, 72 to 75.
You on this side here? That'll even it out a little bit. Let's hear it for the Air Force, everyone. Show them your love. Thank you to the Air Force. To our VIPs up here, to our elected officials, and to our board, thank you. You guys can go ahead and be seated. Thank you so much. I did want to mention, you know, the elections have not been certified yet, but I truly believe these 3 individuals will be serving our city council, and they are all here because they're very committed to the chamber, to the business community. We have Mr. Wes Speak. Wes, would you please stand? We have Mr. Jim Steiner. Jim Steiner, would you stand and wave? And Miss Jackie Casillas. Jackie Casillas, would you stand? Jackie, stand. Oh, you are. I'm sorry. Okay. And Jackie, I'm going to do that all along. You know, I don't think since we threw your surprise 13th birthday party at our house, I don't think you've grown any. I love you, sweetheart.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Okay, sure. I would just like to tell you, anybody that hasn't served in the service, you've helped us out even by being home. Okay? Another thing is, when we were up north in North Korea, I'd like to tell you a story about the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. When we were surrounded by the Chinese, the 11 divisions of Chinese came over the Manchurian border, the Yalu River, and they surrounded us. And we had to fight our way out. And as we got out, the bridges were blown up, and we had no way. We would have been captured and brought back to China. The Air Force came in and dropped bridges right where we needed them. And the engineers put the bridges up, and we got out. When we got to Ham Hung, United States Navy was waiting there. They had ships, and then we got aboard the ships. We had so many people aboard the ships. There was the galley, which is the restaurant. stayed open 24/7, okay? We slept 3 men to a bug. One guy got out, another one got in, all right? I slept in a gun tub that night. But I just want to let you know that everybody says this. I appreciate the Army, the Navy, and the Marines, and the Air Force, and the Coast Guard. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for all of our veterans and their families. Please stand, show them your love. It's back to you, Johnny.